Hi everybody, welcome to Simply Scuba and welcome to Daily Deco. I'm Mark, scuba diving instructor. I'm here with Shaun, who is not a scuba diving instructor.
But I invented scuba diving. Thank you very much, Mark.
You were, you're the, what do you call it, reincarnated Jacques Cousteau, even though he only died in 2009 or something.
Yeah, well, I was an empty shell before then. I was just...
just an empty husk waiting for something interesting to happen.
Exactly.
But you never learned to scuba dive because you never needed to, because you know how you invented it.
That's the one. That's the one.
What was your best friend's name who helped you invent the regulator?
Santa Claus, Aqualung. His name was Aqualung.
It was Emil something, wasn't it?
Emil Aqualung. Emil Hollis.
Anyway, welcome to the show. It's Wednesday, so we're halfway through the week already. Today's episode of Daily Deco, I'm going to be talking about the Aqualung storm fins, because they're one of those kind of fins that they're really cool, but they kind of slipped under the radar. I think there was a bit of a song and dance about them, but I don't feel like a lot of people really noticed them. So I'm going to be mentioning them today. Awesome. As ever, if you have any interesting news stories, pop them down in the sort of comments below. If you have any questions, use the hashtag AskMark. So just sort of type that in at the beginning or the end. Ask a question down in the comments below on any of our sort of YouTube videos or sort of Instagram, wherever you want. Well, not wherever you want.
Yeah, I was going to say,
one of our channels.
As long as we can search for it. Talking about AskMark though, obviously we've been pushing that the past week and a bit. Everyone's doing it now, which is awesome. Which means literally, if your question does not have AskMark in the title or in the actual thing, we ain't going to answer it. So
it won't get answered. That's fine. No, thank you for doing that. It's a little self-serving. It just makes our lives a lot easier, sort of finding your questions. Because we get comments in all of our different videos. So as soon as you go to the comment section, sort of behind the scenes in YouTube, all these just comments. So trying to sift through and find your actual legitimate questions are a little bit tricky. So if you can, ask the question and then just type hashtag AskMark, all one sort of word, no spaces, and it just makes our lives a lot easier to find them. So jumping into the news, so the first one comes from, if you cast your minds back to 2016, it was a different time. You could go outdoors in groups.
What's outdoors? What's a group?
Do you remember movie theaters? Bowling alleys.
Well, I do miss bowling alley. I do miss going bowling. I really do. Like the thing is,
putting your fingers into a bowling ball that anybody else could have been using, and then eating some fries without washing your hands.
Love it.
It seems so alien now.
Love it.
But anyway, 2016. It's the final months of the Barack Obama presidential term, and in his final few months, he signed all sorts of different sort of bills and bits and bobs. And one of them was to create the very first marine protected area. Actually, it's not even an MPA. It's a marine national monument off the coast of New England called the Northeast Canyons and Seamounts, along with a whole bunch of other protected areas, because there's a lot of endangered and rare species. So he created these areas so that basically trawler fisher boats basically can't just come in and sort of decimate everything. Now, politicians being politicians, the first month of sort of Trump's administration, he basically just put in motion to undo all of that. Scrolling the sort of the timeline back to this week, so it's the first couple of weeks of Joe Biden's sort of presidential term, and he's undone what Trump has gone to, or he's basically put in motion to undo what Trump went to undo. Okay. So politicians, man, is bonkers. So this is a 5,000 square mile protected area that was established in 2016 under President Barack Obama. It was the first national monument in the Atlantic Ocean, and it contains vulnerable species of marine life such as right whales and fragile deep sea corals. So yeah, in June, the Trump administration issued an order to lift commercial fishing protections in this area to basically allow them to sort of fish again. But yeah, sort of Biden sort of come in and just went, no, stop it. We need to protect these areas for obvious reasons. So yeah, he's kind of undoing sort of everything. Well, not everything, but most of the things that sort of he's done because yeah, he's sort of more conscious on the environment and sort of being more environmentally friendly. And in my opinion, good news, good thing.
Yeah, well, it's like the what is it? The oil pipeline that was going to disturb quite a lot of Canadian wilderness and where the indigenous people live on the route to Alaska. Like that was going to cost millions, and Trudeau got in a lot of trouble because he was like, I'm an environmentalist, but then out the back door he was just like, here you go, mate, here's a couple of mil, get this pipeline through us. But that's all shut down as well now, which is awesome. So that's going to help. I mean, that's kind of it's marine as well, like projection. You know, I'm sure like lakes and lands and stuff like that, they all interconnect, don't they? So yeah. I
mean, one of the other ones that got sort of big headlines over the weekend was I can't remember. I want to call it the HSS or whatever it was. It was basically Biden paused a Trump administration sort of thing, which was so the Trump bill or whatever it was called, legal document thing, was basically trying to reduce the cost of insulin. Good thing. And so Biden put a stop to that. Or at least sort of paused it, and everyone's like, whoa, what the heck is he doing? But actually, when you actually read sort of what it was, is that he paused it because they kind of reviewed it and said, oh, actually, there's an even better way that we can make insulin even much more cheaper. But of course, everyone just reads the headline. It's just like, whoa, what are you doing pausing this good bill trying to make insulin cheaper? It's like, no, he's trying to make it even cheaper. But yeah, nowadays you have to read the entire thing. You can't just read headlines because headlines are clickbaity.
We don't do anything like that.
Welcome to the channel if you've never been here before. I'm sure you clicked on this video for a legitimate reason, not just because you only read the channel. But that's why people are still watching, Shaun, because they want to make sure that the title wasn't purely clickbait. They want to sort of know all the facts, because that's all we talk about here on Daily Deco. It's just the pure hard facts. We never waffle on about anything else.
But the title was about celebrity nudes.
Yeah. Click it. Whatever it is, click it. The next news story was we're going from quite that was jovial to quite a serious story. But my segue is that I kind of, when I first read this this title for this news story, I kind of prayed that it was a typo. So the title was California Family Offers $50,000 Reward for Locating Boy, spelt as a young child, swept out to sea. Now I was praying that was a typo, boy as in like some kind of really expensive like research boy with like computers and stuff on it. No, this is a tragic story. So they were sort of sat on the beach, literally sat on the sand, just kind of like watching the waves, and this rogue wave just sort of came and swept. I think it was like the dad's this boy who was 12-year-old, sorry, and his 8-year-old brother. That was it. So it swept them all out. Luckily, the father and I think the 8-year-old managed to sort of get back to shore safely. The 12-year-old boy, Arune Pruthi, he sadly was lost at sea. Emergency services, of course, had rushed to the area. The Coast Guard had been searching for days, but it got to the point where they called off the search because they hadn't found him yet, and so the chances are is that he's sort of lost at sea, and there was no chance of them recovering him, and so emergency services are basically saying, okay, we're now searching for a dead body, if anything, and the family have said is that we just sort of want him back. So they put forward a $50,000 reward, and basically saying, right, anybody with specialized equipments like boats, sonars, planes, submersible, scuba diving equipment, who can sort of come to the area, please do so now, as time is essential. They said this on Monday. They're saying that they will independently fund any effort needed to recover Aurelia after definitive identification. And there's even a where was it? It's not a GoFundMe. Oh, it's just an online fundraiser has been set up for the ongoing search and rescue for the boy, and that's surpassed $150,000. So it's very much kind of, if you are in the area, if you do, obviously do it safely, because that's the downside to these, is that yes, it's a tragic story, and yes, it would be amazing to be able to sort of return the boy to the family so that they can sort of give him a proper burial and all that. But the last thing that we need is for someone who doesn't quite know what they're doing, just sort of, I'll just sort of go into the ocean, and then they get into trouble. So it's a terrible story, but if you do have the equipment and the know-how, then it might be worth sort of trying to help this family out. And it's a terrible. They call it what was it? It was not a rogue wave, a sneaker wave, which I've honestly never heard of. No. And it's. I think it's like, when you're on the beach and you build a sandcastle or something, and you kind of know where the waves kind of come up to, but then there's always that one that just goes like much further than you expect it. Yeah. I think this is what caught them, but on like a really big scale, and sort of swept him out to sea. They said that he was a reasonably good swimmer. But especially this time of year, it's cold water shock, all that kind of stuff. So do be very, very careful, especially with small children sort of around the water. There was another news story similar to this recently, and there was a wedding photography. There was a bride and groom, and the shots where they kind of stood on a large rock sort of in the coast, and the waves kind of splash up behind them. It all looks very dramatic. It all looks sort of very amazing. But very similar thing happened, and sort of swept them out to sea. Luckily, they were both recovered. I think there were lifeguards sort of in the area, and they sort of got them. So it's just be careful. The ocean is much stronger than you expect, and it takes a moment to sort of sweep you out. And when it's sort of cold in the winter time, everything starts to sort of stop working. I was watching a video. It was a scientific study on the effects of cold water on your body, and these test subjects, they just sort of dunked them in a cold water tank, and the simplest thing of just deploying a flare, they just couldn't do, because their fingers just don't work anymore, and they couldn't get this thing undone. And it's dangerous, so do be careful.
I always took it for granted. Obviously, living by the sea, like the majority of my life, as a child, you do swimming lessons and stuff like that. But my parents pretty much didn't force me, but like, right, we're going to go into the ocean. You got to, there was a vast knowledge of understanding how the sea works, water temperatures. I literally go in at winter time just to get that shock. But it's so good, because now I know what it's like, sort of this.
Moving on to sort of products. So the Aqualung Storm Fins. Now there was a couple of years ago, there was a sudden sort of creation of open heel but barefoot fins for traveling divers. It's like the industry, they all kind of came to the same epiphany at the same time. Like when you get sort of Armageddon and Deep Impact movies, both in the same year or something, or sort of Ants in a Bug's Life. There's that kind of epiphany. And they all kind of came up with these sort of open heel bungee fins. It's a good analogy.
It's a very good. I'm not laughing at it. It's a very good one. I want to watch Bug's Life now.
So one of the, you don't want to watch Ants?
I can't.
With Sylvester Stallone?
Ants is a better story, but it hasn't aged very well.
No. So anyway, Aqualung Storm fins. So the problem with sort of lightweight travel, like almost snorkeling fins, are traditionally they've always been full foot. So you get sort of 1 or 2 shoe sizes either side, and invariably they're either a little bit too tight, so they're too uncomfortable, or they're a bit too loose, so they end up rubbing or just falling off. So the manufacturers came up with open heel bungee sort of heel straps that you can wear barefoot. And Aqualung Storm is a cool pair of fins. So they're a decent, sensible size. So they're relatively short. They're pretty flat as well, so they pack down really easily. But they do have a bungee heel strap, which just means that you don't have to have the exact correct size. They sort of automatically adjust to you. And they're incredibly lightweight as well. They've got a nice aggressive profile as well. So despite their relatively short size and sort of stature, they're very effective at moving you through the water. And they come in a whole bunch of different colors now. So you can check them out on our website.
I thought you were going to say
yeah, they do.
Plethora. That's your normal word. A
plethora.
Of colours.
Yeah. that is a good word.
Mate. Disappointed.
I've even got a few storm fins over there, yeah, they're cool basically. Over the other ones that I've kind of seen around, these ones have that certain kind of flair, that certain style that really kind of ticks my aesthetic rating. So yeah, they're different, and they're not particularly expensive. So if you're a traveling scuba diver, you don't want to bring your sort of big heavy RK3s or something. You want to pack relatively light. These will go in your hand, your carry-on luggage.
That's the one. You got there in the end. What's the new
the Badger,
sheer
the
water?
Peregrine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, you don't need to wear a pair of boots. So if you're diving somewhere some nice and sunny, then these are a good, tough pair of fins because they're only made out of a single piece of monoprene rubber, whatever you call it.
That also taps into the snorkeling as well. So if you're going on a holiday with a bit of snorkeling, a bit of diving, rather than having to take a cumbersome pair of fins, like, you know, you've basically got the best of both worlds, really, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. And the foot pocket extends towards your heel as well. So it's not as if it just kind of stops halfway through your foot and your foot kind of bends, and that's just when you get cramp, because it sort of continues under the entire thing. Your foot stays relatively straight so you don't get that cramp. Yeah, awesome. They're a nice pair of fins, and yeah, they're coming out in more and more colors to match your style. So check them out. Link down in the description below. The Aqualung Storm fins. And yeah, there's a few new colors coming out.
Awesome.
So moving on to end of the world news with underwater robots and unmanned UAVs, unmanned aquatic vehicles or something. So this is now the world's largest unmanned aquatic vessel sets sail to explore depths of underwater mysteries. So this was so basically they say that because only about 20% of the world's oceans are officially mapped, they all the different sort of research agencies from NOAA to sort of whoever have been trying to come up with ways of mapping the bottom of the ocean. And it's tricky because you don't want to send like a bunch of guys and girls in a boat just to do sort of a whole bunch of straight lines, because that's just going to take forever, and it's hard to keep people alive out in the middle of the ocean. We need like fresh food and water every so often. So they turn to robots. which invariably is sort of what we end up doing. And this company has created the Sail Drone Surveyor. So Sail Drone aren't particularly new. They came out with a whole bunch of these, this sort of small fleet of, they're basically the size of a big kayak, and they got sort of solar panels on their top, and they've got a big sort of sail fin coming out of the surface. They're wind powered, they're solar powered, and they have these kind of fleets of these little robots, and they kind of do sort of their sonar, scanny, GPS sort of tracking kind of thing. And these unmanned drones would kind of go out and just kind of map certain areas. They did a pretty good job, but but Sail Drone thought, hey, we can do one better. So instead of one the size of a kayak, they built this one which is like 73 feet long. So this is the size of a decent yacht. And they say that this guy, he's much bigger. He's got sort of all the sensors that you could possibly need, and they can basically, a bit like a Roomba, they can just hit go, and it will just sail and just map the ocean floor for up to like 12 months.
Wow.
And yeah, so they say he's was it carbon neutral because he's all solar powered, solar and wind powered, and yeah, he's got all sorts of a plethora of sensors, we might say. Everything from GPS to sort of knows exactly where he is, to the sonar and stuff to sort of map the area. And yeah, he said that's Sail Drone Surveyor is the sort of official name for this big drone. It has the same wind-powered technology as that of the Explorer, those kind of smaller ones, that has covered more than 500,000 nautical miles from the Arctic to the Antarctic for its ocean mapping and maritime security, looking to uncover more about the oceans and their depths for a better understanding of this planet. That's the word.
A planet.
So yeah, it's just this this sort of big drone with a big sort of orange red kind of sail. You can't really miss it, and yeah, it's just going to go out and sort of do its thing, just sort of mapping the bottom. It's brightly coloured, so if you're sailing around, you should notice it. And hopefully no one's going to sort of bump into it. But yeah, it says the advanced sonar equipment on the Surveyor will map the oceans to a depth of 7,000 meters, so 7 kilometers. It's also apparently going to collect DNA samples of unknown organisms who survive in the harsh environment down there.
What?
So I presume there's an underwater sort of segment to it.
Just a big
collecting DNA. It's just a solar powered trawler.
Yeah. And then it swims to China, and then it goes to a wet market.
No, I'm hoping this is the opposite of that.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, no. They say, so where is it? The Surveyor joins the fleet of existing unmanned aquatic vehicles by Sail Drone who've got more than 10,000 days of sail time so far.
Wow.
So between them, because there was a whole bunch of those little kayak ones, between them, they spent 10,000 days just sort of scanning the ocean floor. So yeah, to start off, so its inaugural sail is going to be between San Francisco and Hawaii, just to sort of make sure he works and doesn't get lost.
What we have to do, Mark, I think we've got budget. We should go there for the launch and track it.
I'm up for that. Yeah, I'm up for that.
Yeah.
In our rubber dinghy. How is it so quick?
No, what we have to do, we'll just get, when it on launch, we'll just do it. We get like a lasso, and then we'll put it around the sail, and we'll hook that up, and then we can just lean back as it snaps.
For some reason, his efficiency isn't as good. He was at 100%, and then sort of a mile out to sea, that dropped to 50%, almost as if it was dragging 2 heavy bodies behind it.
Heavy? I'm not. You don't fat shame me. Thank you.
Lockdown has not been kind on me. Anyway, so whilst we're talking about sort of robots, there's a new design for underwater robots propulsion system with the Aurelia aurita jellyfish.
Cool.
So Shaun's mentioned it before, we both mentioned it before. Scientists are working on lots of little robots. Instead of one big drone UUV to kind of scan things and search areas and whatnot. These are researchers from the universities of Southampton and Edinburgh who have been working together to create a jellyfish or octopus squid inspired propulsion system. Because jellyfish are one of the first things that ever sort of existed on this planet. So they've had a fair amount of time. Yeah, that's true. She probably is the most efficient. She's never had to evolve. No. So jellyfish, they kind of know what they're doing, and they seem like relatively slow, but actually they're quite efficient. So scientists have been trying to create a robot that kind of simulates that, instead of using like a traditional propeller or kind of fin movements. So they've created this first little underwater robot, and it kind of it's like a robotic squid as far as shape when you kind of see it. But the tentacles, which are at the kind of the back end behind the heads, they all have this kind of rubbery silicone sort of net around them, and on the inside of the head is a little piston. So all it basically does is it kind of pushes this piston, and that then pushes on a spring. It pushes those kind of legs out, and then the kind of the rubber of that kind of skirt around them kind of squeezes it back, and that creates propulsion, a bit like a jellyfish, and it's quite efficient. So the spring then sort of pushes it all sort of back into sort of the first position, and then it just sort of keeps going. And they say with the correct sort of rhythm, it's incredible efficiency. So they say this increased efficiency combined with the additional efforts of the robot's soft, flexible exterior would make a candidate for operating near sensitive environments such as coral reef for archaeological sites. So instead of having big sort of fin-like movements or a rotating propeller, these are pretty gentle. You just have this small motion, this small sort of pulsing, and it's not going to be crashing into stuff and damaging things. So they're hoping that this might be the next sort of evolution of underwater robots to sort of go into sort of delicate environments. So if you have a delicate shipwreck or sort of around sort of soft corals and whatnot, you don't want this robot or a team of robots just crashing into things and damaging them whilst trying to sort of analyze them. So this might be the answer, and it's clever. It's pretty cool. And
it's like the Power Rangers. So when they're ready, they'll morph together, and there'll be one big jellyfish, and then it'll pick things up out of the ocean.
Yes. In a statement, co-author Dr. Francesco Giorgio Cerci, lecturer and Chancellor's Fellow at the School of Engineering, Edinburgh University. That's a title. Well done, Dr. Francesco Giorgio Cerci. So they said the fascination for organisms such as squid, jellyfish, and octopuses has been growing enormously because they're quite unique in their lack of supportive skeletal structure does not prevent them from the outstanding feat of swimming. So basically you don't need this kind of rigid robotic shell, but they can still move through the water. So they're like, maybe we should copy this. And they've been using their sort of 3D printer to make these kind of special shapes, or sort of put it into this small little robot. And so far, it's working. They just need to perfect it, make it autonomous, make a whole, I don't know what the collective term for jellyfish is, but
jellies.
Just make a whole jellyfish, obviously.
Yeah.
A bunch. Make a bunch of these sort of little robot things, let them talk to one another, and they'll take over the ocean.
That's cool. No, I like that. And with what I said about the little blue bots the other week, where they can talk to one another, but they use the motion of an actual fish. Obviously, the jellyfish ones, they're definitely a step up in that terminology. But I think this is going right. Whoever invented the 3D printer is amazing. That's all I'm going to say. It's amazing.
Yeah, you do see some amazing stuff come out of 3D printers.
Yeah,
and
it's amazing.
It really is the future. I remember reading a news article about 3D printers, and they're like, guys, this is a really big deal. We really need to be sort of not quite funding this, but really sort of paying attention to this, because this can really change the world to the point where like every household can just have a 3D printer, and then if you break something, instead of like having to go out to the store, you can just make one then and there. Granted, at the moment they're still fairly slow, but they're clever, and they're not like 100%.
Do you remember the 3D printer in Apex that we saw? That was well cool.
Yeah, I'm sure we're allowed to talk about that.
Who cares? Like those. There has been some comments. I will say this, for some reason, people are commenting when we're going to release the Apex video, and we're not. It's never going to get released. Two reasons.
Can't. Yeah.
We can't, because the products and the stuff that we already filmed have already been released, so it would be pointless. Yeah. And two, I don't actually have the footage. It's gone. So
it got deleted.
Whoever's got my Simply Scuba, my old Simply Scuba hard drives, have fun. They've probably been wiped and sold on. So
I imagine. Yeah. No, that was a fun, I don't know, 2 or 3 days we spent up there with Apex.
We did.
We sort of saw everything. We recorded sort of everything that we could, and then it all gets deleted. They'll invite us back one day, I'm
Hopefully.
sure.
Well, it depends if we actually start doing product reviews with products in them.
We will. What I can say is that I do have a lot of equipment behind the camera. I'm not allowed to show you guys because it's all super secret future stuff that you will see, but I'm not allowed to specifically talk about it until like later. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel. There is stuff coming. It's just, I'm not allowed to talk about it yet.
No.
Because that's how the industry works. Secrets.
It's a robot. I'm just going to...
Smoke and mirrors.
I'm a whistleblower, mate. Everyone's making robots that run on coal and broken
steam-powered. Yeah, steam-powered underwater autonomous robots.
Yeah.
It's going to be squids v like robotic fish.
Yeah, it's going to be like, what do they call it? Robot Wars, but underwater. And all the big brands are signing up to it.
We warned you. We've been talking about it for weeks now.
Fishnet, whatever the hell we called the company.
Oh yeah, Ghostnet, whatever.
That was it, Ghostnet.
Nah, it's there is a huge boom in sort of underwater like drone swarms where you get lots of little robots, and it's just all sorts of different universities and research facilities and whatnot. They're just trying to come out with the most efficient design. And actually, the squid one, because it is sort of really gentle, kind of makes sense. So now all they need to do is sort of make little sensors, make them all work, and then sort of start retrieving some data. Because that was one thing about the latest space research thing.
Cool.
It's set a record of the most satellites launched on a single like rocket, and they said that some of them were like as small as a coffee mug or something. So we're making very complicated sort of sensors and batteries and stuff, and very relatively small sort of sizes. So yeah, now we're going to start making all these independent robots.
Do you know where the inspiration comes from all of these little robots and stuff and sensors? Do you want to know?
I'm trying to think. No? I'm trying to think of a joke, but I can't come up with one.
It's the movie Twister.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Sensors. Yeah. I never understood that movie though, because they were like, oh, we could track hurricanes and like we could tell them that they're, you know, like they're coming early and stuff. But I'm like, but once the sensors go up, when they just come back down, when it all stops.
Yeah.
I never understood how that worked and how it could.
I don't know. It was what was his name? Is it Bill Paxton?
Yeah.
Bill Paxton magic. There you go. Done. Boom.
I do love that movie, Twister. If you've not seen it, highly recommend it. It's got really good CGI.
The CGI was. Yeah, that was on point.
Yeah. It's not too bad nowadays. It's like I watched.
Bill Paxton's been in a lot,
isn't he? Huh?
I forgot. He was in Titanic.
Yeah, he's been in
everything. He was the researcher. He was in Apollo 13. He went to space.
Yeah.
He was killed by the xenomorph aliens.
And a predator.
And a Terminator.
Yeah. He's literally
weird science.
Terminator, Predator, Alien, anything. Titanic, Twister. Isn't he dead now though?
Vertical Limit, I think so.
Oh, Vertical Limit! I got that for Christmas.
Vertical Limit.
It came in my stocking.
Yeah.
DVD, not Blu-ray. I don't want to go that. I don't want to own Blu-ray of that. Thank you. But
he was in Spy Kids 2.
Oh yeah.
That. Oh, and 3 apparently. That was the peak.
Was it? Okay. Cool. Oh, rest in peace, mate.
Yeah. Good old Bill Paxton.
There you go. Good old Daily Deco. We end at talking about Bill Paxton.
You never know where we'll end up.
Oh dear.
But it's somewhere fun. That's all you know. So tomorrow we've got some interesting news. So more sort of.
We've been teasing this news for like over a week now. People are getting well.
Honestly, today we will give you official details. We kind of looked at the calendar and we're like, yeah. It's going from January. We're in a new month in sort of February. Let's do it then. So it is going to happen. So tomorrow's show we're going to be. Ooh. Yeah, I'm not allowed to say until tomorrow.
No, there's an embargo.
It's
yeah.
I told you. It's all smoke and mirrors, lies and deception. The scuba diving industry. So no, we're going to sort of talk about what we're how the scuba diving channel is going to change ever so slightly, just to make everyone's lives a little bit easier, to be honest. We've listened to your comments and we're changing. Basically,
I'm gonna say it right now. Simply Scuba is going. And like I said earlier, I teased it a week or so ago, we are going to become an official Meg channel. So daily videos about the Meg, talking about the Meg, the movie, the myth, the legend, the monster.
You know, I'm going to start taking like China's stance. When anyone starts like talking like about something that you don't want them to talk about, they just start making noise. There was something at like a UN committee or something, and someone else started talking about the Ouija internment camps and stuff, and how something really should be done, and the Chinese representative was just like banging on his desk, trying to drown out the noise, and you're
dear.
Guys,
you
come
can't
on.
do that for the Meg. People love it.
I'll try.
No, you
won't. I'll just do some ASMR stuff around the microphone. Even though you're the one that edits it, so
exactly.
You can just cut it out.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fake film, and then when I'm finished with you, I'm gonna film it again. And I'll just have a puppet. Just a puppet of you. There we go, guys. Daily Deco!
Yeah. Tomorrow Yeah, tomorrow we're going to break down sort of exactly what's sort of how it's going to be changing for February. Yeah, as ever, if you have any interesting underwater news, something that you've done or found interesting, let us know down in the comments below, and we'll turn it into a news story or something. If you do have any questions that you want answered about scuba diving specifically, or hiking, because Sean's big into his like mountain biking and hiking, all those kind of stuff.
The real sports,
let us know down
guys.
in the
real
comments
sports.
Below. Nah, if you don't need a tank of compressed air on your back, it doesn't count.
Oh, I need that too, but I'm just unfit.
Oh, the altitude.
Yeah. Oh, I've got upstairs. Oh.
Let us know any questions down in the comments below with the hashtag #AskMark. Just makes it a lot easier, and we're more likely to answer your question if you do. Yeah, you can listen to us as a podcast. We try not to do things too visually on this, so that you can listen to us on the go. I listen to all sorts of podcasts when I'm walking my dogs early in the morning. And yeah, you can listen to us as a podcast on Spotify and all over the place. Yeah, otherwise, check out the Teespring store if you want some Simply Scuba merchandise.
Oh, Teesprings.
Yeah. Thank you for watching, and of course, safe diving.
Stay classy, scuba divers.